Okay, we call this meeting to order of the RMLD Board of Commissioners, November 26th. Let's see, the meeting is being audio recorded, held remotely on Zoom and live streamed on RCTV. And the board recognizes the importance of hearing public comment with the discussion of the chair on items on the agenda. Once recognized, all persons addressing the board shall state their name and address prior to speaking. It's the role of the chair to maintain order in all public comments or ensuing discussion. Members participating remotely, I believe that's Pam. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? Nope. Nope. And that means we need to do roll calls. Yep. Okay. With that, Yep.
Good. So call the cabinet for
Second. Tim Woods.
that's all.
It's a vote to call it. Okay. We never did that. Vote to call it.
It's okay.
Any comments from liaison, the board? No?
Yeah. So acting as contact person for the Killam building, the school sustainability committee person, whatever. We had a good discussion today. Greg, Megan met with a number of people from the architectural team, and Carla, the chair of the school building committee, and talked through, I guess we're really looking at two options, one town-owned and one RMLD-owned. And kind of talk through what each of those two scenarios meant and what the relative value is. There's still some details about how much energy they're going to need, but they're still looking at 5 ventilation system options. I think 4 electric, 1's fossil fuel powered, but the degree to which they are electric depends whether it's ground source heat pump or air source heat pump or a combination of both. So they're working through those, as well as I think they're different ventilation scenarios in terms of ducted or not ducted, or so. Until they kind of sort through that, they're not quite ready to give us a number to finalize our cost proposal to them, but we talked through what the parameters were, and good discussion, a timely discussion. So I'm glad it's happening, and that's great, going good.
Is there any gas backup for this facility?
That's still in the discussion as to whether or not part of that will depend on the nature of the use as a emergency shelter, because that has specific requirements for being independent of external sources, whether there'll be a generator there. It'll also matter whether, as far as backup battery storage, whether that's an RMLD facility owned or whether that's their owned. If they're doing the panels, then there probably won't be a battery there. They'll just use the power behind the meter and then draw power from the grid as they need. If RMLD owns it, then we'll probably maximize the area, back it up with battery, and deliver power they need, and then keep the rest. So yeah, still evolving, but the discussion is good. Yeah.
And we're going to attend, so we have an intermediate meeting, but our intention is to attend the next SBC meeting on the 16th.
Right.
December.
And there's an intermediate discussion between now and then to finalize those details. So yeah, no, making good progress. I'm very glad we've got high level interaction now between the chair, the building committee, and RMLD. That needed to happen. It probably couldn't really have happened before now because there were too many things floating around, but now that we're getting down to the details of now we know how big the building's going to be and what the surface area of the building is and a couple of these other things, it's now time to kind of get a little more granular on the power numbers. So Megan, Greg, thank you for that. That was awesome.
Quick question. Primary meter or transformer based?
It depends. So they're still, they think their load is going to be significant, like 1,000 kVA. They want 2,500 amps at 480 3 phase. We'll see what the number really comes out to be.
Yeah.
So it depends upon what they finalize. It's on the margin.
Who owns it, who maintains it with the public building?
That becomes the key
It
question.
becomes a very, very important thing for maintenance in the future.
Mhm.
I would highly advise that it's RMLD owned and maintained, regardless of if it takes up more space. It's something to think about. Past experience, you might have experience Dennis with schools, and I don't know if RMLD owns them or if Wilmington owns them, but it can be very, very problematic if the town owns the transformers. Sometimes just changes the dynamic.
I think from the town's perspective, would rather not own the transformer. But I think from RMLD's perspective, you guys would rather not own it at times.
Well,
Yeah.
We're going to be responsive no matter what.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
you know,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I know there was, there's been some talk or, as we come across some things with the water department or whatever. So, yeah. But going back to the school, I was at the Westwood MSBA conference that they
Yeah.
just had, and they did a tour of Westwood, which is geothermal and solar. And the panelists up on the panel all talked about different things about geothermal. And the woman from Reading that was, I think, on the school board brought up that maybe the geothermal wells would go under the school. And every single solitary one of the board panelists highly recommended you do not go under a building with geothermal.
You can never replace it. Or,
And they said it becomes other issues. Unless it's your last resort, never go under the building.
Yeah.
And for like Wilmington, we're looking at building a school, we'd put ours out in the fields and none of the piping or anything would go under the building. But she did bring up the fact that it was going to be angled under the building, and every one of them kind of expressed concern, said, do what you need to do or what you want to do. But if it goes under the building, I'd be concerned. So
Yeah, I know in my house, there's a glycol line that goes under the foundation, like any plumbing system might. But as far as the wells, I think the concern is structural primarily that
yeah,
you're worried
the
about.
structure,
These wells aren't that big that I would worry about. There's no exchange with the ground except heat.
Yeah.
You know,
I thought it was a
so-
way to replace the pipe.
but they said if there were issues, which every system eventually has an issue,
yeah,
just said that down the road, and they said, again, it's up to each town, but
yeah,
they would highly recommend you to not
yeah.
go under the building with the wells, even if it's in the angle. So I just figured I'd share that with
All right.
brought up in Reading's name was used.
I personally don't remember exactly where the wells are. Most of the well heads are not under the building, but
Yeah.
there might be some angular drilling that I saw in a drawing, and I don't know if it goes under a footing or not.
I just figured I'd share what was the top.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Anything else? Not? Public comment?
Did you have Rebecca in the?
Rebecca? Are you there?
Yes, sorry. I am here. I just wanted to make sure that we were going to discuss the issues I raised at the last public comment. It wasn't clear from the agenda, and I realized I'd forgotten to ask 3 questions. The first question is, I was wondering how many residential customers you have at the 50% level who would be owed a refund. And then after that, I was curious to know how many residential customers would be left after you take out the 50% level customers. How many will you have left? And how many commercial customers do you actually have right now? And of course, I'll be very interested in any plans to increase enrollment in this program or expand the use of opt-out programs rather than these opt-in things where you have to do something and that are very underutilized from the numbers I had been told last winter. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we did. Greg and I talked earlier this weekend. It is on Greg's report to address those questions. So thank you.
Yeah, I just had one thing too. I don't know if everybody has read, but yesterday I released my retirement letter to the media. It's been posted on the post and it's also in the recap everything in Reading. So it's definitely
No turning back.
no turning back at this point.
You're getting a parade?
Who knows when I'm maybe I'll get this chair named after me.
I think it should be the room.
No, the room is already named after somebody. He's right over here. Wind Spur. The conference room. Maybe the table will be named after me.
Oh, there we go.
I see you were thinking.
Wind Spur. What do we know about Wind Spur?
Wind Spur was a commissioner
Yep.
for many, many years. I don't remember the exact number of years, but he was a commissioner for many, many years.
Is that his actual name or is that his stage
It's
name?
Winford Spur.
Wind Spur. Okay.
The Spur family was very prominent here in Reading for many years. They ran Ace-Art, which is down off of Haven Street. They did. If you ever get the pictures and they have the little things that mount the corners, they manufactured that and did very well over a long period of time. So they were very. Wayne, I believe, was an attorney.
The corners.
He was an attorney here in Reading, and he served for many years on the board. And when we were on Haven Street, the conference room was named after him. When we moved here, the board felt it was appropriate to name this conference room after him.
We have another conference room.
Yeah. So anyway, whatever.
Thank you, Phil, and
Okay.
congrats, and many thanks and everything.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
We be able to say that a few more times, so.
Okay.
Ready to move on with minutes?
Any comments for you?
Oh, yeah, and Vivek and I spoke, just want to reiterate from last week that, appreciated the discussion and definitely welcome as much and as robust input from the cab in any form as you guys put in. And, want to restate that to, Dennis and all of you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to recognize that, the way RMLD is structured to be governed. And I'm saying this as I'm the Reading representative on the cab, but I'm trying to take a cab perspective, cab first perspective. Clearly, the way it's structured, there's no ambiguity as to how it's governed by commissioners, but it's very clear that more than it's almost 3/4 of the load.
Yep.
And the revenue comes from outside Reading.
Yep.
And so, Wilmington and all the towns are really important players in the whole scenario. So it's appreciated. And I know, Phil, you've always historically been, always sought input from the cab. And I know sometimes you have not voted because there was, I know one particular instance where there was not a decision from a cab or something. So it's appreciated. Yeah. And I think that spirit needs to be maintained. So I just want to reinforce what you said. And
any initiative and motions and, ideas are more than welcomed and appreciated. So thank you.
And we need to get the Linfield position.
Yes.
I've been trying to bug them, but.
Okay. So anything else on that or anything
No,
before?
so now then we can go to the minutes. Okay.
Right.
So,
Cab moves that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board approve the July 25th, 2024 open session minutes as presented on the recommendation of the general manager and the board secretary.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
I assume that when you talk to board secretary, you mean the CAB board secretary. I assume you mean that.
Yes.
So maybe you should add that, make sure that just gets.
Yes,
added.
yes, yeah. The cab.
Implied.
Yeah,
Put the word CAB in front of board.
CAB.
Yeah, CAB is the board.
We can't slight Jason.
Okay. Want to have a motion on our minutes?
Move the RMLD Board of Commissioners approve the May 14th, 2024, June 5th, 2024, July 5th, 2024, July 15th, 2024, July 25th, 2024, and August 14th, 2024 open session meeting minutes representing the recommendation, general manager and the board secretary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Pacino, aye.
Aye.
Porter, aye.
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Carries 5-0.
Yep.
Okay. So we are at Peter.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Who's doing the slides? Yeah.
So bring them up.
All right.
And, once she starts it, you'll, when she goes into presentation mode. You got it.
All right, this is the RMLD reliability report for the board meeting here. The first slide. All right,
You're there.
so these are industry metrics to gauge how we're doing on our reliability. Our reliability is excellent. You can see on Sadie, we're at 15.96. Year to date, the industry average, regional average is 33 minutes. We're at just under 16 minutes, and we are lower than last year. The next indice is the safety. System average interruption frequency index. We're at 0.22, and the regional average is 0.52. So we've been doing really good with our reliability. Anybody's got any questions?
But who are the regional players? Like, is it munis or is it IOU?
IOUs, it's everybody.
It's the regional, and then there's a national one.
Yep.
We go to the regional.
So Peter, I have a question. So, I mean, RMLD has had a track record of good reliability for several years.
Mhm.
Right? And it's really good to see it being maintained.
Mhm.
So, like, I mean, we keep hearing about this. What, like, I think we'd like to understand is what are some of the most important activities
Excellent.
that is done, right? Fine.
Next slide. So here's the causes of network outages.
This will drive you into.
Yeah, no, I saw that, but
Okay.
you talk about activities, and so you asked the question. So, yeah, so what are the most important activities that the team has to do, and how many staff members are actually engaged in this? So it's something that I've seen this kind of data before. The kind of question I'm asking I have not asked before, or has not been asked before, at least in my presence. So I'm just curious. So please go through this, but then answer those questions.
Okay, so you'll see the major cause of outages is trees and wildlife. We have 2 tree crews on right now that continually trim around our system. They have maps and areas of coverage. So I think it's 3 years, is it? Every 3 years, they go once through the whole system. They cut back as far as they can up to 8 feet. Sometimes a little more restrictive than that, but they try to mitigate that as much as possible.
So 2 crews is how many people?
4.
Okay.
2 two-man crews.
Okay.
Person up in a bucket and somebody on the ground.
And just on that note, to add to that point, Vivek, several years back, we used to have 1 crew. And so we increased the crew because the trend line, so we're using analytics in terms of what the frequency outages, what the sources are and the frequency, et cetera. There's been a major effort in both North Reading and Wilmington over the past several years. And if we go town by town, those have come down. Right now, we're focused primarily on the town of Reading, and we're doing everything, but there's an intense focus literally this winter, and has been for a while, but on the town of Reading, on the main lines first, the primary lines, and then on the secondaries. But literally, in the meeting we had this morning with the ops team, was just a focused effort on the town of Reading. The good news is that all 4 towns require us to do an annual vegetation management plan. The town of Reading is a little bit more restrictive, but right now, given the fact that it's not summer season, the tree warden has more time to look at those vegetation management plans. So we're going to try and accelerate. But to answer your question, we've got crews specifically targeted toward trees, and then you can talk about the work we're doing on mosquito beds, et cetera, the wildlife, the green.
Yep. So the other contributor is wildlife.
The tree crews you guys have, it's not the outside company that you.
Yes.
Yes, Northern Tree.
Okay.
Yep.
We did look, Tim, a year ago at potentially bringing that in-house, but we decided for the near term to continue to subcontract the tree work.
Okay.
So it's 4 people from outside who are contracted to us.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yep.
Well, 40.
And you talked about we are better than other utilities. Like, say, is it because they don't have? I mean, they just have more trees to deal with. Is that the simple answer for everyone else?
Well, our construction stands are a little different. We use insulated tap wire. We use squirrel guards. We use different types of cover up. different construction standards. Spacer cable is a big thing. Spacer cable has a thick insulation on it. We run that practically everywhere. It's very tree hardened. It's resistant to contact between trees, squirrels, things like that.
And the other thing, so specific to the wildlife, we are trying some new materials and new techniques in terms of protecting our equipment, so that as a squirrel jumps across, they inevitably do, they don't make contact. They don't create a short circuit. So part of the equipment that we put in place this year is really trying to drive that wildlife down. But those are the two big drivers. So on the wildlife piece is basically trying to minimize the places where squirrels in particular can short circuit the system. Make sense? I mean, that's part of there's additional installations that we're putting on equipment to make sure that's more challenging. And then we're also doing that in the substations. We have some, particularly in substation 3, I won't call them bird strikes in the traditional, but we're trying to also protect.
Yeah, because undergrounding is expensive, right? But like a lot of places, people are undergrounding cables. And
That's another way to do it. But undergrounding has its own set of challenges too. I mean, there's no perfect answer. I mean,
very expensive.
Yeah, well, and it's not perfect. It is, depending upon, for us right now, we're going to be primarily overhead for quite some time. Does that help give you an idea of that?
And how's it in North Reading? Sorry, in Danvers.
It's similar numbers to Reading.
It's because I think your reliability is also as good, right?
Yeah, similar numbers. I mean, we're a little bit smaller system. We benchmark ourselves only with APPA, which is other public power, but regional and systems of similar sizes. But yeah, our reliability for all the same reasons. We had a few years ago, we went through and put a ton of animal protection up. We cycle trim regularly. We have asset replacements and all sorts of stuff. You can use the data if you have a certain area. We had some cable, older style cable that we don't usually install anymore. That was failing, so we get out there and replace it immediately. So there's all sorts of ways to tackle the reliability.
Okay, no, thank you. I mean, these are like small issues, but at the end of the day, reliability is something that really matters too.
First and foremost.
Yeah, I don't know, Peter. So are you going to talk about like feeder hardening, cable replacement, all that stuff? I don't want to. If you're going to.
We do that on a daily basis. We have our pole inspection program. We're out there inspecting poles, replacing poles. Every pole we put in is taller. We're replacing transformers. We inspect and replace transformers. We're always looking at the load on the transformers and prioritizing them by age and whether or not they're overloaded. Squirrel guarding all our transformers. One of the new things we're doing, we have these SCADAmate switches that, it's got the steel cross arm. We found a manufacturer of a cover up to help us cover up the steel cross arm to prevent squirrel contacts from the live rigid parts, the cross arm. So it's a continuous thing we're doing.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep. And that was the last slide there on, I got one more slide after that. So that's all about the trees and wildlife that contribute to nearly 60% of our outages. Yeah. And this is where we got a diamond level for the RP3 award level for the public power. The recognition of utilities dedication to operating an efficient, safe, and reliable distribution system. So we're at 98 out of 100.
Excellent.
One quick thing. I mentioned it to Greg tonight. I was thinking about it when I left one of the meetings. You always worry about RMLD when the power fails, but it's the other 364 days a year when you sit in your house watching TV where it's nice and warm and you didn't think about RMLD at all. That's when everyone here did their job and it really matters. So this is great information, but it's the uptime and the very minimal downtime we have as a network that most other towns don't have or networks don't have. And it's definitely appreciated.
There's actually a metric for that, ASAI, which is how often is the power actually on, and it's usually 99.9999 something.
That 0.22 is the negative, is the subtraction of negative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how often is the power actually there.
Yeah.
So so they do, you can track that statistic too.
The reliability and yet for all the things you guys said, you know, in terms of how much we value it, but it gets when we are talking about schools and reliability and what do we need for a backup and do we need a generator when we can look at our own network and saying it's, you know, a tiny fraction of the time that there would be a loss of power, and that bridging that hour or 2 hours or whatever that event is a manageable quantity. Being able to not have a generator, have not the service to put that generator and having something that can provide a short-term gap to something, it affects school, it affects the business that depend on it, it affects, you know, the entire community. So it's a big thing. Yeah, absolutely. Good job, guys.
Yep.
Thank you. Team. Sure. Okay.
All right.
Want the-
You want to do the motions?
Yeah, we'll do the motions. We'll get the backup then. Move that proposal IFR. That's an income, that's an accounting thing. Move the proposal IFP 2024-33 for one, parents, the number one, end of parents, material handler truck with trade-in be awarded to James A. Kiley Company for $457,297 pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 164, Paragraph 56D, on the recommendation of the General Manager.
Second.
Mike, any discussion on that?
Yeah, we had two bidders, Alltech came as well, but we opened that bid, didn't have all the required paperwork, so the bid was rejected. They're missing their bond. So they're given a checklist. Everything's supposed to be in the package.
Yeah.
And they're missing some things. So Kyle was the only
We
bidder.
already approved. We could spend another hour for a $500,000 contract, but they don't bother.
Yeah, they seem to only keep going up the trucks.
So what's going to be traded here, Mike?
What's that?
What's going to be traded?
Which truck? Basically what we're trying to do now, we have a lot of older trucks, but a lot of them are anywhere between 10 and 15 years old, a lot older. So basically we're going back in the records to see which trucks have the most maintenance done to it, or you know, the ones that have the most trouble. Because it's hard to say just one truck, because they say it's going to be here in a year and a half. It comes to 2.5 years.
Right.
So basically, we have one truck's giving us the biggest headache. We'll trade that one in.
So they don't care which one it is.
No, not so much. You don't really.
Well, yeah. So I mean, you've got a trading value of $2,500. How sure are you of that number?
$2,500.
Yeah.
Good question.
I don't want to live through Truckgate again.
Oh,
That's why you traded in. That's why you traded in. You don't have truck gate when you traded in.
I mean, to Phil's point, I mean, is it possible to do the deal without the trade-in and then put that up for auction, like through whatever that process is that we have now? Obviously, no.
No, I just traded it. Just get rid of it. It gets you out of truck gate. It gets you out of auctioning it. It's worth nothing. You know, basically to at that.
yeah, the truck lives are pretty much maxed out.
Yeah, it's just
Usually you try to 7 or 10 years trade the trucks in.
I don't want to revisit
Schedule.
Truckgate.
We don't.
Right now we have a lot of maintenance issues with trucks.
You think about leasing any to supplement?
They're very hard to get to. We right now we have one rental bucket and one rental digger, but
Yeah.
there's nothing in the market.
Yeah.
So many contractors are working, they take them all.
Couple trucks for auction.
Well, yeah, we did actually look at a different kind of a maintenance program earlier this year.
Oh,
In terms of we'd still own them, but they'd be under a maintenance program. But at the end of the day, it didn't pencil out economically. So, but we continue to look at other ways to do it, and we do because of the maintenance we have on the older truck. They're getting more and more frequent, and there's a dollar issue, but the bigger issue is if the truck's not available for the crews to use.
Yeah, you can have it.
Then it has a bigger implication. So,
yeah, it's a lot of money on a cruiser.
That's why we're gonna buy trucks.
Yeah, one of the big things too with the trucks is like Greg spoke with that program. It was for smaller vehicles, but I mean, even those small vehicles to actually get your money back or the most back for a return, you have to cycle them through it every like 4 to 5 years. Otherwise, after like that 4 or 5 years, the market just tanks to nothing. And like the trucks are the hardest thing because you can't just go to a lot and buy them.
Yeah.
You know, when things were good, you know, you get one in a year. Now it's, you know, a year and a half, 2 years or longer. So it makes it a lot tougher.
Marcia?
Seeing none, ready for a vote?
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Ms. Pacino, aye?
Talbot, aye.
Reporter, I.
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Mike, next.
Okay, the next one, move bid 2024-38 for on-call electrical maintenance and repair services be awarded to Daigle Electrical Construction Corp. for $94,878 pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Paragraph 39M, as the lowest responsible and eligible bidder on the recommendation of the general manager. This is a 3-year contract.
Yeah, those three bidders in this on this contract, and Dago was the lowest bidder. They came in well, for year one cost $31,626. North Shore Tech bid it. They came in second, $46,000. And your electrical solution came in at $41,000 for year one. So basically, being 10 and 15, Dago came in $15,000 lower each year for the contract.
Okay, so Mr. Chair, my question on this one is, the Daigle bid seems much lower than the others. Have we done due diligence on this company?
Yeah, we've used them a lot in the past.
Because we're like 50,000 less on one and 40,000 on another. So I just want to make sure they're going to be around for the 3 years.
So they've done a lot of work here in the building.
Definitely gonna be around.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been around a lot.
Yeah.
You're probably because they're right familiar with the building.
You use them?
Right now they have our traffic signal contract, but they're a subsidiary or of the Power Line Corp, which we do a lot of our line work contract with, that we've used for a long time. So, and I think Redding's used them as well.
Yeah,
we currently use them. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What was the second on that, right?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Is that?
Yeah, my question is, I guess same route as Phil's question, but maybe just slightly different. Do we have a sense of what drove the price here lower than the other two bidders? Is it an hourly rate? Are they using fewer resources? Why is it so different?
It's basically based on an hourly rate. So the whole contract basically hourly rates. They do a fixed price for 200 hours at regular time, and then they submit also 50 hours for Saturdays, Sundays, for legal holiday time. So based on like a 2-man crew, journeyman and apprentice.
But probably the big difference is that they know they're
very familiar with
contractors.
with us. So I mean, that's probably a big thing.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Their office building is in Wilmington.
And their office building is in Wilmington.
Small footprint.
Yeah, they pretty much can walk in the building and know where everything is. It's not like they're not guessing anything. So
I know for things in Wilmington that we've been bidding for different construction projects. Like a simple roof, I have a price from 55,000 up to 175,000 between 6 different bids. So there's no rhyme or reason to why they're that far apart when it's the same thing. But I think some companies throw a number at it, and
Because maybe they have too much work and they don't really need it, and they're like, whatever, yeah.
yeah, if they get it, they're doing it. They'll
Right.
take the right numbers. So
We had a motion in a second, right?
Yep.
Okay, anything else? No? Ready for a vote?
Yep.
Okay.
Ms. Pacino, aye?
Talbot, aye.
Reporter, I.
Mr. Coulter, aye?
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Okay, guys, last one.
5-0.
Move that IFP 2024-20 for substation equipment package be awarded to Dish-Tran Packaging Subsystems LLC for $2,010,695 pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 164, Paragraph 56D, on the recommendation of the general manager.
All right, whichever way is the bid for the.
Ray said,
Yeah, Barry.
sorry.
Go
He
ahead.
gave me the thumb, I was ready to go.
I know we're trying to get into the time.
34.
We good?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Contact substation.
So this substation equipment package was for the 115 kV breakers, there's 3 of them, and the rest of the equipment, 115 kV equipment for substation 6. We had 5 bidders. 2 were considered non-responsive, and Distrans was the lowest bid at $2,010,695.
So I have the same question. Do we know we done due diligence on this company? I don't remember.
Yeah, they're quite familiar in the that industry.
Because I know one of the bids that got withdrawn, Stewart Irby's, I think we've used them very much in the past, from what I
Yep.
remember.
They actually did just they just marked it up. They used the same packager.
The budget amount was $1 million, right? It was twice as high.
Yes, when this was first done, the substation, I believe, had a different design, and the breakers were much less expensive. They were under $100,000.
Different
The breakers are up over $360,000 right now, and there's 3 of them.
What equipment have we already purchased? I thought we had bought some equipment last year as well. I thought we
15
bought
kV switch gear,
the switchgear.
transformers.
Yeah,
Yeah, this was the last piece.
the last piece of break.
PLM was waiting for information from National Grid for tensions and some ratings for this design of the 115 kV equipment.
Okay.
So it took a while again to get any information out of them.
And then I know this, so this dollar amount, this is basically a construction capital budget plan
Yep.
from
Yeah.
last year.
So it's carried over a couple.
We carried it
Yeah, carried
over,
a
but
couple
yeah,
of
we
years.
carried over.
This is an example of a carryover comes
Yeah.
into play.
Yeah,
Exactly
so
right.
so carryover comes at the flight. It's in this year, so I know we'll just
Cash wise, this will be a 2025 cash event.
cash event. Yep, even though we're budgeted from the previous year. Yep. Okay, and then I know kind of back to what Vivek was saying about those types of jobs. I'd love to hear like a status report on how that progress is going on the substation build, and and we talk about reliability. It'd be great to hear about reliability. What's going on in the substations as well. How you maintaining them, keeping them up to date. I know maintenance programs that you have going on that just a quick couple of bullets. Yeah, we did this type of maintenance in the substation. It's a different world. Breaker goes down, the circuit goes down, tree goes down, a couple houses go down. So it's a big
Massive scale.
yeah. So it's great to hear about the
I think that's good. So we'll probably do. We're now in a much more active phase of Station 6 in particular.
Mhm. Yep.
So maybe we do a quick update. Either we could potentially do it every month or every other month. Like right now, the transformers are in the process of the first of the 2 transformers is built. The second one is in construction right now. We're doing inspections on those, virtual inspections as well. They're going to get delivered before the end of the year, probably.
Could be before the end of the year.
Early next year. So stuff.
It's moving. That's great.
It's moving.
That's great. Love to hear about that.
Okay.
And then the other element is last year we did a lot of work on Station 5 transformers. So between Station 4 and Station 5 transformers, Station 5 was the one that was near end of life. It's still near end of life, but we did a lot of investments over the past 2 years in terms of rebuilds associated with transformers and the switchgear, et cetera. So we've got significant life left on Station 5.
Every fall, we take that offline and inspect the bus, inspect the breakers.
Yep.
The substation crew takes care of all that.
That's great.
So we can probably have more detail, but there's a lot of help. Okay, another questions on transformers? Or switchgear. Transformers is left. This will become a topic soon.
Yeah.
Anything else? No. Ready for a vote?
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Pacino, aye?
Reporter, aye.
Sculter, aye?
Pam Daskalakis, aye.
Okay. Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Okay. Then we have a lot of stuff on Greg's update.
Yep.
No.
Thanks.
Okay. And one that we talked about on the phone today, but I got the cure sage corsage.
Corsage, I think. Yeah, no, I added
Corsage. Yeah. The corsage. We're buying corsages now.
Corsage. Okay. We'll talk a little about them as well. So there's a lot percolating. We'll talk about the team, some programs. Anyways, we'll cover different topics. So I think core piece, we've got some new team members. Where I guess as a summary, we are nearly done with rebuilding the IRD team. Megan is the director of that team. We've got a couple of new individuals that started in October, another one that's starting next Monday. We've got 2 open positions left in the IRD team. So there's obviously learning to be done, et cetera. But there's a lot of excitement in terms of the kind of work that we are doing here at RMLD. We also have an electric maintenance worker that started this week, actually. And then we also, in terms of open positions, we have either a second class or first class position posted and open. That's a coveted job, so there's a lot of interest in that one. We have an open position for a system engineer. And then we have, again, two additional IRD open positions, but we're at the back end in terms of doing any major recruiting. So we're feeling pretty good about the team. In terms of new customer programs, there's the Connected Homes program, which is tied to Shred the Peak. That's a much more automated system. We had talked last month about the shoulder months being significant in terms of number of calls. We'll probably, in the next few months, we'll take a time to walk you through some of the things that are happening on a regional level with significant additions of storage systems. I'll talk about that in just a minute. It's going to make it more and more challenging for customers to participate in Shred the Peak. So what we're trying to do with some of these programs is figure out alternate ways to automate them. Connected Homes is one piece, and that piece is now active. And so we'll do a lot more marketing in terms of those programs. RMLD Drive Electric is basically an education program for EVs and a communication vehicle for EVs. The load management device, we talked about this a while back, but it's now the programs in place and the rebates in place. It's with a partner called Stepwise. They came out of the Green Labs program. Again, I was trying to work closely with the greater Boston area startup companies that are trying to do innovative technologies. And as in terms of external marketing, we were not proactive in terms of external marketing over the past 6 months. But as I mentioned to you before, our new marketing manager is in place and knows what's going on. So we started publishing the newsletter. We're going to try and do that on a quarterly basis rather than a monthly basis so people actually read it. We're going to restart the webinar program and the podcast 2025. The website update is in process. It's nearly done in terms of the conceptual changes that we're going to make. We work through a standard platform, so we don't have a lot of flexibility, but trying to make sure it's as updated as possible. We talked before, you guys will be part of the logo update. That'll be an early 2025 event. We had done a lot of legislative work back in the first quarter. We'll do some additional legislative work updating them in terms of what we're doing. We are seeking support from them. The good news is that 2 important bills were passed last week. They have a lot of implications for us. And then Vivek, it won't be till early of 2025. Megan is very familiar with we're trying to be consistent with a standard program in terms of doing our carbon metric. So she's got.
I just have like a comment on that. I saw that you are a team member of the group that put together the state plan, right, for carbon.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
So the plan for 2050.
Yeah.
So Megan was one of the members of that team, so she's familiar with the goals that have been set for the team, for the state. And
the metrics.
Yeah, and the metrics. So because the metrics that we use are, like, we talk about zero carbon, but actually the right way to do it is talk about emissions with reference going back to 2004. I think in that document it referred to 2004.
The net zero,
whatever
the net zero target is against 1990, but yeah.
So there's goals for 2030 and then, different goals, and it's in percentage of, it's like reductions in percentages of emissions and not percent carbon.
Well, remember, so this will be an additional metric that we will voluntarily post, and we like the suggestion, but the retirement metric still remains, that it's not in lieu of, that we have to do the 2030, 2040, and 2050 target. Those are specific requirements that we remain obligated to do. That's a compliance. So we'll continue to do that. This will be something in addition to. And the point being is that we've got some good in-house expertise in terms of what would be a good system. But that'll be in early 2025 that as now that the IRD team is starting to be filled out, we'll be able to put that back on the list.
Thank you.
The other element is that the town of Reading just recently released their net zero plan. We remain very supportive of it. We will be part of the there's things that affect us because our activities get rolled into town of Reading. And so we'll not only be supportive, we'll actually be an implementation partner of that as well. Okay, go ahead.
Question about stepwise.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, in the older version, they were replacing they were letting homes that had like 100 amp system basically act like it's a 200 amp system. Is that what you're talking about here, or is this something different?
Not so much act like a 200 system, but it would be an alternative to putting a 200.
So the idea is
amp
not,
breaker.
so you don't have to upgrade to a 200 amp system, right?
Correct.
Would you do a bypass or something where?
Oh, it's not a bypass.
Not a bypass.
It's a digital limiter. So they don't go over. The intention is to create an alternative to having to do a 200 amp.
So it reduces the cost for someone.
It's an alternative cost reduction for somebody that wants to add heat pumps or EVs, et cetera. But it basically it's another mechanism.
Okay, because initially they were doing it for EVs, but now they've expanded.
Well, they've expanded it out as well. And so,
what does it mean basically that the EV charging gets cut off if the AC is going on or something?
correct. It's eliminated.
Basically, okay.
Prioritizes load.
Right now, the commercial product is only on EV, but
Okay,
they're
yeah,
working.
they're looking, so, because I know they started off with EVs.
Yeah.
So that kind of gets into the question of that we're using a third party vendor. That third party vendor, right, is communicating with that home. And how is it communicating with that home and how often? And, so you get into that. And I know the vendor that you said Green, you partnered with whom to do that?
No, it's their own product and their own platform. So the control will be coming to actually the customer can actually control themselves, but the overall when you look at the load profile, they have their own platform. They're not using a third party, if that's what.
Okay, so
all the backend is within that company.
okay, so we're basically saying you're only going to get X, and this company, someone sets that at that home.
Well,
Like,
right, based on what the customer.
so how is
There's a physical limit where if you have a 100 amp panel, the total load will not go over that. So like Vivek said, if the charger will only work when the other load is not being used.
and they're going to install this and who
Yeah,
who
We're not. So the
we're
customer
not picking up the
pays.
cost. Customer pays
It's behind the meter. It's all
behind the meter.
have a
Customer
rebate.
pays. You get a rebate for it,
Yeah, but
and then you're on this new rate.
it's not a new rate.
Okay, you're getting a rebate for the.
You're just getting a gadget, right, to put in your
You're
house
just getting a gadget.
to do this.
Correct.
Okay.
And it's an alternative to, so we have a rebate for a 200 amp service panel upgrade.
Yep.
And we have one for a 400 amp service panel upgrade as well. And not all homes or not all customers or homes are in a position to do that. So this is an intermediate step.
But it's also better for the system too, because it's going to mean you're steadying out your load
Right.
on a per site basis.
I guess the check and the balance on this system, right? If we're saying, oh, go ahead and install the system, right? This is a third party software, right? Or
And
device that you're putting in. And then you're saying you're not going to go with 200 amps. So let's say tomorrow, all right, up my value, right? Where's the check and the balance on this piece of equipment that was installed? If you're not in control of it, right? Who has control of it?
The control is behind the meter. So
Yeah.
if the customer agrees to do that, then
That's great.
It's a physical control. It's not a human control.
Yeah, but I'm all trusting of everybody. But I guess, if you're not in control of the,
But we cannot control behind the
that-
meter.
But so at the end of the day, the service panel is still a 100 amp panel. And so the service panel itself is going, it's got its own built-in limitation.
Mhm.
And so this basically is a different way for customers to put, if they want to put bigger load in, where they only have that load. At the end of the day, it's not bigger load, it's additional load. It will still be capped at the 100 amp that's built into the existing system.
Yep.
If and when they want to do a turn, we have a rebate for that. But again,
Okay.
those are all, back to your point, this is where, we want to provide incentives or encouragement for people to manage their load. This is one mechanism to do it. It's a creative one, but it's their system. So we're very careful in terms of not getting too deeply involved in the customer side of the meter.
Yeah.
We're going to explore more and more of that. One of the things that we're going to dig into, we've talked about it before and done some initial research. But for example, re-looking at the water heater program, right?
Right. That's
Right.
an example.
And so there was a technology that was put in place. There were some problems with the technology. RMLD got out of the program. There's still value for doing load management. This is one mechanism that is tied to it. Right now it's just EV, but they're going to expand to it. We're not choosing vendors. We're not endorsing the vendor. It is actually tied to a grant that the company won for the state. So we're part of the test bed for them actually rolling the system out, et cetera.
And our local wire inspectors are
Absolutely
all on board with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
to,
it has to go through the wire inspection process.
Well, it has to, yeah.
to be clear, this rebate is not for that product. It's for load management device. There are 4 types. Just different, whether it's really like smart panel, that's one type, where the panel itself can modulate the loading. So it functions in a similar way, but it depends on where that device is installed. So for this company, it's installed between the panel and their charger. But then if it's a smart panel, it's the panel itself. So we will pay the rebate for that panel. So it's not just for this company's product. We were very careful we're not endorsing any company.
Yep. Company specific endorsement.
Yeah, before you move on to land, I have a question about teams. IRD had 7 openings at one point that I saw in a recent presentation. And I'm seeing 3 coming in October and December with 2 openings. 3 plus 2 is 5. So there's what's happened with 6 and 7.
So 6 will be communications manager, which will be a 20.
No, that communication manager wasn't part of that 6 and 7.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Please. It was. So the 6 and that number was, we were basically approving the 2025 budget. So that there are additional positions that will end up filling in 2025. Because that number was part of the 2025 budget. Wait, really? We want to fill.
So how many total IRD specialists, not doing communication, not doing billing, do you have positions for for which there are still 2 openings? What's the total capacity? This specialist and
Have 3 positions and 2 are filled. We're looking for the 3rd one.
no, that's not the number. The total number of specialists in IRD is a number between 11 and 13. At one point, there was 8 filled with 7 openings. And I see 5 here. 3 coming in October, December, and 2 with open positions. So I'm still missing, I still don't understand how many we have filled, how many are open, and what is our total number of people in your department?
So
Under
I
that
think
category.
there's a distinction of like when we're requesting the budget, we want to make sure we have the budget if we fill the position. So there are at least 2 positions we're not actively recruiting for.
Correct.
Right now.
Okay.
So when we,
Not on this list.
so that would be the 2 that I think you're wondering.
What's the question behind it?
All right. I think,
You want to make
all
sure
right.
you have enough staff?
yeah, I mean, at one point, what I understood, we were like half full and we're not, these are good. But I want to make sure that we're not just saying, oh, we're done and still not have the team that we need to have there. My next question is, you've got 5 people coming into a team that's got 7 or 8 people in it. You've nearly doubled your team. How are we doing on transition? What are we doing on training? How are we getting them in? How do we make sure they're they're productive and integrated, and I do training as my
1,000% with you.
my big thing. So have we got a program for that, or are we understanding what they know and how they transition into the organization and can begin to deliver?
Yeah, so we have pretty much all the standard operating procedures drafted. So that's one, the main guideline to train new people. And because I don't know if Greg explained this before, it's not just specialists in this team. So we have engineers, we have analysts, and we have specialists.
Whatever
They
their
have
role.
different roles and responsibilities, and we
Right.
have different, standards and procedures for them. And the good part is always have existing staff who can help train the newer staff. And the newer staff, even though they may not have worked in this field or in this utility setting before, but they bring in new experiences and expertise as well. So I don't have a manual written, and that's what I tell new employees. I don't have a manual for you, but we all learn every day. But we have the standard process in place. That's the most important thing. And the rest is really about your critical thinking, your analytical skills, your, dealing with situations, especially when you talk to customers, how do you handle the customers?
I just want to make, I appreciate that. And yeah, every job you learn on the job. I'm just reacting to some comments that were made by past staff. I came in, I had questions, I had no one to talk to, everyone was busy. That's not the situation we've got now. We've got a process by which there's follow-up, there's opportunity to get questions answered, people are available.
It was a very different manager before, wasn't it?
All right, well, I just want to make sure, Megan, you've got your help, that there's a plan, that I want these people to be successful. Is what I want. I want the department to be successful.
I don't want them to be coming and going.
Yeah, no, we've had a couple situations which were not good, and I don't want to blame it on a manager, because there's a couple of those which were independent of that. So my question is, and my encouragement is, let's make sure we give the people the support they need so that they can be productive and contributing to the organization. That's what I want.
Preaching to the choir.
All right.
Right, I like what you're saying, because Tim and I are doing that in town of Wilmington now with our staff. And you look at it as the investment is really the people helping them be successful, not them being successful.
Right.
You've got to do what you have to do to give them the opportunities.
Yeah.
And encourage them and help them grow into the position.
Yeah.
Opposed to, here's the keys, there's the door, come on aboard.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, no, I mean, exactly that. And yeah, I mean, you're bringing someone in because they have some experiences and you want to take advantage of that, but then there needs to be a pathway where their contributions are heard and integrated and accepted and valued. So, yeah, I mean, it goes both ways.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure we're creating an environment that has that, is supportive of that, values that, and not kind of what had been before. Because this is an important department. We got a lot of stuff going on. We need people to do it. So I'm glad we've got some crew coming in, and
there's an enthusiasm and energy.
well, good. I'm for enthusiasm. If anything, enthusiasm is
Carries a long way.
I'm all about. All right.
Can I just have a comment? Right, thank you for asking that question. I just extended to the whole organization. We don't talk a lot about this, but what would be good to know is, what is the standard procedure, for example, Peter or Michael, in your departments? How do you manage people? Do you all have weekly meetings? Just a general sense,
We have plenty of meetings.
Team meetings. I'm not talking about these meetings, right?
Well, we meet regularly during the week, during the day. We have different areas where we just congregate, talk about different jobs. If something comes up, we have a Thursday scheduling meeting, staff meeting. We have Monday morning scheduling and kind of staff meetings to see what's going on over the weekend. That engineering and operations are all part of.
Engineering operations are co-located. There's a big table, so the question that comes up, that they have a easy place to meet, as an example.
We discussed jobs that come in the door, future jobs, stuff to schedule, they're in trouble over the weekend, trouble the night before. So and it's not hard to hear somebody talking in their cubicle, so everybody knows what's going on down there. So it's pretty
And Greg, at your level, do you have your staff, how often do they meet, like once a week or so?
So we meet formally as a full staff once a week, and then we meet. I meet individually with every one of them, and actually some of the with my direct reports, plus some of my direct reports and their direct reports on some critical issues. For example, the line foreman for grid assets, which is a substation and also AMI. We meet and as part of the MDM progress. So anyways, I meet, I have a series of meetings. Our staff meeting is limited to 1 hour, and those other meetings are limited to half hour. I am noted for moving the agenda forward and not dilly-dallying around with the meetings.
Thursdays for engineers, and then we have E&O on Thursdays as well.
Yep, and then we have the E&O meeting as well. Yeah, so we try not to spend too much time. We're trying to spend time, and the other element is I'm spending because of my background in power supply and IRD. I'm spending more time not only with Megan but also some of the new recruits. Here's how we think about power supply. Here are the key questions. Here's what we're trying to achieve relative to load forecast. Here are some of the factors. So it's meant to be a training discussion. So we'll have brief 15-minute discussions. I'm down there, they're up here. So there's a lot of we're trying to focus the training on answering specific questions. Back to your point, Ray, of what are the challenges that are in front of us? And as we talked about just this morning at our staff meeting, while over the past 6 months, the energy world's continued to evolve. And so we're back focusing on the issues of the energy world around us. There's a lot happening. So, we're picking back the pace back up to address those issues. But there is I
just think IRD is unique in terms of the nature of the work.
Yeah,
Everyone's
so
kind of doing a little bit of different stuff. But
similar for the entire IRD team, including customer service, billing, and communications, marketing. We do weekly meetings, and I have one-on-one check-ins with every direct report every other week. So someone called me, I'm a high-touch manager. I work with them quite a bit. My door is never closed. People come in with questions. I always work with them. I never say I'm too busy.
All right.
So that's why I made the comment about different managers. And also on the other side, I do hold everyone. I hope everyone hold themselves accountable for their jobs. So we're also in the process of developing career development plans, which is more of a performance evaluation tool. It's a tool, but the evaluation is comprehensive, but it's a good tool for everyone to understand what the expectations are. And then, it's a two-way feedback application.
All right. Just ask.
No,
yeah.
Thank you. The team, at the end of the day, it's about team. That's why I always took the GM update with the team.
Well, it was a hard hit.
It was not the best time to become director of IRD. I can tell you that.
Okay, I'm going to continue on.
Moving on. Thank you for
Dave prompted me to do just quick snapshot. I think the key thing is that fourth bullet from the bottom. We talked about this before, but we are anticipating in 2025 to try and close at least one of those parcels. There's a lot of parcels that are on the table. Relative to battery storage and solar PV, Kearsarge. So that 10 megawatt system is going to go on our River Park campus. In fact, speaking of siting and permits, et cetera, the easement was recorded today. Got that back today. Yeah, the pole line is getting, so that's going to be basically a 1Q 2025 commissioning. That'll be in the River Park campus. We ended up moving it to a couple different places in our network, which is why it's later for anybody than we wanted to have it installed. But it's got a solid footprint now. There's another 10 megawatt citizens project at RMLD station number 3. That's where the current Minuteman system is located, the 5 megawatt system. That citizen system will be summer of 2025. Both of these systems required some additional level 3 ISO New England submissions. Peter and the team have been working through those. We are in good shape relative to those submissions and the system impact studies. The battery systems, so too much detail right now. There's the 500 kW mobile system at Station 2. That'll end up getting installed and is meant to be mobile. That little picture there is an example of it in the first quarter. We will probably come back to you in December with approval to add another 800 kW to those. These, all of these, the Kearsarge, the Citizens, and the mobile systems are all shared savings models, so there's no CapEx. We've got a dialogue. We've got a partnership grant submitted with Alstom. That's another long duration new chemistry. And then going back to the bills that got approved and passed at the state level last week, they have implications in terms of the 100-hour battery system that we talked about earlier this year as well. And Ray already provided an update on the Killam School. Renewable choice. So last of two pieces. So if you guys remember, we put renewable choice in place a couple of years ago. It's at a point in time where we were 26 in the mid 20s of retirement of certificates, and we wanted to provide a mechanism for customers that wanted to do either 50%, 75%, or 100% certificate renewable, individual customers. The retirement certificates, per our policy 30 that we update each year, we'll have to do. That's one of the action items for February, but it was 26% in 22, 29% in 2023, and if you remember, back in February of this year, we worked through some analysis, looked at our power supply portfolio and the certificates associated with that. And for a minimal amount of money, we were able to go to 55% retirement. There are a total of 100, back to the question of the public comment, there's 104 participants as of October, 100 residential, 4 C&I. Out of those, it is 20 are 50%, and then the other 80 are split between 75% and 100%. As our retirement rate increases, the benefit of this program decreases. This year we're at 55% retirement. However, while we in 2023, we did not update the rates to reflect a 29% retirement rate, which would have reduced the rate. Hence, there is about a $15 bill credit that will be issued to all 3 residential rate classes. So we will do that in January, the January billing. We will make all the corrections in December for all of this as well. And then in 2024, where it's a more significant piece because we went from 26% to 55%, that rate wasn't updated. It will be updated. It was in the process of being updated, so it'll apply to the December billing. But for those customers that are at residential customers that are at a 75 or 100% level for 2024, there'll be a one-time $115 bill credit for those roughly 80 people. And then those that are at 50%, those 20 customers at the 50% level, that'll be about a $77 bill credit for those that'll apply to 2024. We will reach out individually to the 50% residential customers to see if they want to move to the 75 or 100% level. They're not required to, but we'll do that. So we had some corrections to do because we did not adjust the rates appropriately. Again, the corrected rates will be done in the next month, literally next week's billing schedule. It'll start late next week. And then we'll do for each individual customer, but that's the order of magnitude. The 80 customers that are on 75 or 100 and the 20 that are on 50% levels, we will do those bill credits, and that'll apply to January billing.
So it's 80 out of 32,000?
It's 100 out of
Only 100 are participating.
So it just jumps off the page. Discontinue the program. Right. I mean, if we had it, one of the reasons why we jumped to 50 is we had a 3% increase table per year. We're gonna go very gradually.
Very gradually.
Right? And we're gonna go very
We have
gradually.
massive, and that's why at
Right.
that point, under that premise, it makes
Right.
sense.
And
Yeah.
then we said, okay, we're this close, we're here already, based on our profile. Okay, make the leap. It was a great pickup by Rebecca, like, obviously, okay. But it just jumped off the page at you with 100 people. Okay, I did a new program, different type of program, but you're gonna run into the 2040 to 75. You're gonna have the same conversation, right? Phil will be here, and Phil will be having the same conversation. We did the same thing again, right? We missed it. We're at 50%.
Well, we're at 55%
Well,
right now.
55%. So
We're
what's
55%, and the 2030 target is 50.
and it's a state mandate. So what's the point?
We're
Right,
already-
and
we're
I'm just saying, right now, what's the point of the program? We're going to be advancing based on that graph continuously per state. So what's the benefit of having this program right now?
Does it cost you more to do it? Does it cost you more to keep it?
I mean, it makes.
Does
I mean,
us administratively a bit.
Yeah.
But it's not.
But that cost is offset by the rate, right? The rate offsets the cost.
Well, we use what the dollars we collect in the program we use to retire additional certificates. That's the way it's originally designed. So so that's a wash, but it does take administrative cost to manage it.
for 100 people.
For 100
I mean,
people.
if there was 5,000 people involved with it, sure, but there's not. I mean, and we're progressing by a mandate to get here. I think at this point,
We're already there. We're past that.
yeah, we're past it.
Well, we're past the 50%.
Yeah,
We're not past the 75, but to your point, Bob, you're right. We're headed there.
We're headed. What's the point?
So yeah, I mean, I think I do think the logic of the program needs to be reassessed. I'm not quite with Bob that we're there already. Let's just end it. I think there's still an incentive for someone that wants to go beyond where RMLD is going, an incentive to support that and a way
I mean, there are
to
people.
roll that into the credits when we retire.
Right, and that, and that's kind of my concern too. I'm in the 100% program.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'd like to see, instead of getting a credit back, maybe we give somebody the option, just keep it and retire more recs as another option. Add another option.
Okay,
Right.
we could do that.
But with 100 people in the program, I mean, I can understand where Bob's coming from.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Here's the suggestion. We need to, so every February, one of the discussions we have is what's going to be we make a recommendation to the CAB and the BOC, but what's the certificate retirement rate? So we did that back in February and we all agreed 50, we gave a couple of choices, but the decision was 55.
Right.
Now there's a question, and that curve to the right underneath there indicates that when we go above that, now the cost becomes more significant. So that's going to be a discussion that we're going to have in February.
When you think it's appropriate.
Oh, she's still here?
I assume she's still here.
I don't know if Rebecca's here, but Pam's got a question.
Yep. Thank you. So hang on. So I'll let just one. So we do. So I think it's actually a valid question to ask at our February meeting, because that's going to be it'll be linked. Go back to your question, Bob. It's going to be linked to what we want the retirement rate to be for 2025. That we have to make a formal decision what we're going to do for 2025, and that might be a good time to say we leave it at 55% and we leave the program in place, or we move it up and we get rid of the program. Those would be some options that we haven't had a chance to analyze yet. Pam, good. Pam, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're certainly related, but they're not. Those two things are kind of mutually exclusive conversations, right? I think we're talking about what are we going to do in terms of the 55% or greater. That's for the entire population versus a group of individuals who want to do more to push the organization closer to 75 or 100%, which, as we know, the law is not going to require us to do for quite some time. So I think where we should think about it, certainly the program is not successful enough at only 80 participants, right? I would like to understand what our communication strategy is to, number one, communicate that, hey, we've made some great progress. We're doing this at a low cost. We're overachieving in terms of our state mandated commitments, but here's your opportunity to opt in additionally. And I, frankly, I'm also in the program. I don't remember exactly what the cost is because I opted in so long ago. What is the incremental cost to go to that 75%? What is the incremental cost to the 100%? And is that now potentially, more feasible for folks who have an interest. I would really like to see us, really improve the communication and the marketing efforts, especially now that we have a marketing person on board. Let's take that for a spin and see what we can do. If we determine after another year it hasn't moved the needle, then perhaps we look at a different way to make an impact with folks who really want to do more. But I wouldn't want to throw the whole program out just yet, especially after we made such great progress last year as an entire organization.
I would just weigh in. I would agree with Pam that I think if people, it can be challenging. People get a lot of information thrown at them, but I think if people had an easy way to click a button and get into this, it might only be like $5 or $10 a month, as I recall, to get you up to 75. Or it's like a surprisingly small amount of money.
Yeah, it's not a big number.
And
it's going to be less now with the high retirement.
Right, and it's like there's so many people who care about the issue. I think the 80 or the 100 is not a failure of having the program. It's a failure of that it's not a priority or it's not getting marketed, effectively. So,
just for context, I'm in the solar 1 and 2, and then the 100%, and they offset each other.
That's right.
In terms of
in your case, they do.
Yeah. In terms of the cost.
But also want to just also acknowledge to thank. I believe this correction is the result of the public input, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, I discovered.
Oh, you did. You did. Okay, so then, well, we still give credit to the customer for showing up and letting us know about something.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Even if it occurred at the same instant that you did it. But since I'm told she's still here, are you here, Rebecca? And would like not here? Okay. Okay. Well, we all thank you, or at least, yeah.
It's recorded that she's big thank.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's great to have the input.
We want the input.
It's great to have people just paying attention of whatever it is that we're doing and weighing in. It's helpful. So thank you on that. And then is there anything else?
One last slide, real quick.
One last slide.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about so there's detail here. At the very, can you move the picture back up to the upper right hand corner? So we had a short discussion in the open session last week or 2 weeks ago relative to the home rule. And there's some context that's been in the communication to you guys as a group, and it affects both the Citizens Advisory Board and the Board of Commissioners. It affects all 4 towns. The motion that was approved last in 13th is a change in direction from what RMLD has been providing input to the Town of Reading Home Rule Committee. My recommendation is that at the next meeting, we hold the review session with the attorneys, and just to make sure you guys are all educated in terms of the trade-offs, et cetera. And you guys can leave the motion where it is or not. But I wanted to make sure, because we covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, and I just think it's appropriate for the CAB and the BOC just to be fully educated in terms of the decision, and you guys can decide what to do from there. So that's a recommendation from the general manager.
Yeah. So, Chair,
please.
Okay. So, one of the things that was mentioned at the Charter Review Committee, and it was mentioned by the Town Council, that the board had adopted 164, and she felt that was appropriate. To shift away from 164, which is what this motion is, and we need to get clarification. That's why the manager is recommending that we bring in somebody to have go over this with us. Is potentially there could be liability to the commissioners. It also could be the fact that we're ceding some of our authority to the town, which if I were the 3 outside towns, I would not be particularly pleased with. So I do think it's behooves us to actually have somebody come in. Now, if we decide to do nothing, we decide to do nothing. I've been beat up enough on this. But, if we decide to do nothing, we decide to do nothing at this point. So.
I think, is it possible to have town council come here? I don't know if that's possible. So we'd have to find that out. I know, because that's the opposing point of view, right? That's not opposing, but a differing.
It's different. So the forum for that It's easier for us to have that forum at the at the town meeting, but there might be a mechanism. I know the request was made. There might be a mechanism for us to figure out a way to do it here.
Yeah.
And I don't know either way.
Doesn't matter.
It's just it's an important discussion, and having all the you guys get to decide. It's a recommendation. So again, it's a recommendation you guys are making to the home rule committee.
Yeah.
You just need to be as informed as you possibly can and make the best decision you possibly can.
Sure.
And I think what you're asking for is a little bit more input. I will figure out a mechanism in terms of how to do that. It could be there, it could be here. I don't know the answer.
That's right. Either or.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's. I mean, we'll work with the chairs in terms of between now and the 17th of December. That's the next meeting. The committee is is kind of reforming itself. The home rule committee, not us.
Right now, we're not sure exactly where that committee's going to. There was a meeting scheduled, but that has been canceled because of lack of a quorum right now.
And last
with Mr. Brown going off the committee, and quite truthfully, the last few meetings you only have the minimum number of members show up. We haven't seen some of the representatives from the library and places like that. Some of the other committees who are on that committee that just have not shown up at this point, and Mr. Brown being off completely. So I don't know how the committee, where it's going to get at this point.
Hey, Dennis.
Yeah, the one thing that jumps off the page here, and again, I haven't done my due diligence on 164. It says, Mass General Law 164 provides protection to the other towns served by the MLP. So I think whatever decision's made has to be right on, because it does affect the other three towns.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a long-standing relationship as four-town community in this municipal, and we're fortunate to be part of it. But I think that jumps out at me to make sure that whatever decision's made is made based on what follows Mass General Law.
Yep. So not aware, caveat, disclaimer. So my understanding is that the vote doesn't move us away from 164. It acknowledges the opinion that said we're governed by 164, but there's other parts of state law that also bear on us, and that includes about separation of powers. And I think that instead of abstraction about what section of the law, it's powers versus not having powers of our board and your board by extension. Because if you look at the line edits that came from Attorney John Coyle, they removed powers that our board, at least on paper, have according to the charter. Okay, so then if it does that, well, you guys advise us. So then if we don't have the powers, then you're advising a weaker body. I mean, that's the other way to look at it. But this is non-lawyer translation.
And again, I live in the world of Mass General Law for working with the town.
Right.
And nothing's ever easy, and nothing's ever crystal clear.
Correct.
By far. And but having a legal opinion of exactly what to do covers everyone involved.
It does.
And protects all four towns.
Right.
So that's my only thing. It's like whatever decision's made needs to protect you guys individually, because Mass General Law goes after the organization, but go after the people themselves for making the decision and doing it. As part of being on a committee, we are saying that we're going to follow Mass General Law.
We certainly are following the law.
The public. So I'm not saying we're not, we are. I'm just saying we've got to be clear or confident that whatever decision is made protects everyone involved, including the towns and ratepayers.
My belief, which could be wrong, is that we just said keep the charter language, which has been in there for 21 years, and don't change it. We didn't look for any changes. We didn't ask for them, and just that was the vote that we took. And I think, I may be wrong again, is that it protects powers that also protects yours as the cap.
And again, Mass General Law, it's when push comes to shove, whatever you think you can follow, it's Mass General Law when it ends. That's why I'm just saying, make sure whatever legal opinion is given, that's what pushes your final decision. That's all I would say.
If you need a sleep aid, the two legal opinions are on. They're in the October, and I think also the package in the packet, and they're tough going. But if I read them 3 times, and then I sort of started to understand the arguments.
So the action is I'll work with, as a general manager, I'll work with the chairs to figure out how we want to put it on the agenda in the near future or not. But
So Phil can correct me if I'm wrong. If the Home Rule Charter Committee doesn't get reformed, then the status is that the Home Rule Charter will still have the provisions that the RMLD attorney wanted to strike. They'll have the provisions that the Reading attorney wants to preserve. That will be the default.
No, that's
So we
not,
won't
that's
lose.
not 100% correct.
Okay, good, thank you.
The committee has not taken a formal vote
No, I mean,
to say
okay.
to put it in or take it out.
No, I understand. The default is, right.
Right.
Right,
They have
so-
to take a formal vote to even send it to town meeting. It'll probably be an April town meeting.
Okay, so there will have to be a vote.
There'll have to be a vote for the whole thing,
Okay,
because not everything is finalized at this point.
okay, so it does have to go to town meeting. Because
It has to go to town
something
meeting,
has to go to
and
town
then from there, it goes to the voters. The voters have to vote after that.
Is that right? I thought
That's
the town
correct.
Meeting just did it.
No, it's got to go to the voters.
No,
All right.
the town charter, with the town meeting is votes on the charter, not the.
No, it's got to go to the voters. My understanding, it's got to go to the voters now. I don't have those papers in front of me.
All right,
Yeah.
okay.
Sitting at the
So,
top.
so some action does have to be taken at some point. We have to figure out what it is. Okay, so that's
That's right.
So Ray, I think the other key point though is that historically RMLD has challenged the text.
That's right.
And the Home Rule Committee has not accepted RMLD's recommendations.
And historically, the Attorney General has accepted the town of Reading's
The
Home Rule Charter language.
the AG office back in 2003, this will be the input that needs to come from the lawyers. They made a 30-day opinion, right? And so there's a lot of others. There's more to that. So just, they made one opinion back in 2003, and that's all the AG office has done. Just technically correct.
Well,
So all I'm sharing with you guys is, you can decide to do what you want to do, but last vote was it was a different path than historically RMLD board has been pursuing.
You're referring to one vote in 2014, right? When you say
Well, no, but also, I mean, your colleague next to you has been consistently attending these.
yeah.
So there was a lot more discussion in 2023 and 2003 with the RMLD challenging the text as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the town could do whatever they want. The issue for, back to Dennis's point, for the protection of RMLD as an organization and the commissioners and us, is that we follow the laws that we need to follow. And what I'll let the lawyers talk about it, but 43, what is in the current town charter is not consistent with chapter 164. And again, there's more details behind it, but
So what I'd like to recommend is that if we're going to open this up, I'd like to have the CAB also take a vote on what the recommendation is.
Yeah.
Okay, on our recommendation.
sure.
And I'd like to make sure that, all three of you do vote, okay?
Right.
Because you'll carry it. It depends on how you vote. So I want to make sure you guys participate, please.
And again, I go back to all the training for Mass General Law and purchasing. You go to the Inspector General's office, you get trained by them. They make it crystal clear that the laws you must follow. And if you don't, and again, no matter what they could come after you personally. So I'm saying protect yourselves as well. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just saying, make sure you get all the information. And if you feel comfortable with it, then that's what you should do. But if you don't,
Right.
it's just Mass General Law usually isn't flexible.
Right. And just the bottom line conclusion of the town attorney is that the charter does comply with Mass General Law writ
And
large.
again, if you feel confident and want to vote on that, but I just say, whatever opinions you can get to protect yourself and RMLD,
Right.
do your due diligence, because it's just not worth the effort or the headache on the other side.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, and I want to request that all of you participate in that vote,
Yeah.
please. So it'll mean like an effort to participate.
I don't have a side either way right now. I'm just sharing information based on trainings that I'm forced to do. I just want to help protect everyone involved. That's okay.
All set. Thank you.
Compliments.
All right. CAB wants to adjourn.
Moved at the Citizen Advisory.
No. schedule.
Scheduling?
My question is like, we've just got December on the schedule right now. Do we want to think about January or we not?
No, please do.
I'm gonna truly struggle to make a lot of meetings coming up soon because coming to the budget time, which is Tuesdays and Thursday nights. The MSBA committee I'm on is Wednesday nights. The permanent building committee is on Wednesday nights and Monday nights. So I'm gonna make as many meetings as I can
Wednesday night's definitely not a good night for you.
every night in January. Monday through Thursday is not a
But
good night.
are you planning to have this topic discussed on December 17th?
I think it's up to me and you, right? I mean, because we,
You guys put the
I mean,
agenda
it's-
together.
yeah.
So
I mean, I guess just to go, not to keep rehashing this, but there was 6 or 7 months of process going on with Phil, and we had it on our agenda on September, right? Right, September. When was the meeting in your high school, Dennis? Was that the September meeting? No, that was October. And so we had a discussion then. The memos were there then. We discussed it then. Then again, we discussed it the following meeting, and the subsequent memos and some communications from you, Greg, articulating many of the things you said tonight. Yep, were provided to our board by Greg by email, plus an additional memo from Coyle, John Coyle, all of which we had when we undertook our vote on the 13th. So I don't know. The reopening is not necessarily that we're gonna.
You guys, so we can decide what we do on this on the December 17th. Let's go to scheduling.
Yeah.
Okay. And so scheduling is going to be January of 2025. Let's try and do February of 2025. And so if you're neutral, Thursdays are fine. So
Like I said, Monday through Thursday.
So Tuesday's better?
Tuesdays are always better.
Okay, so out of the whole group, should we try and shoot for Tuesdays in January? Let's say the 21st?
Nope,
That's a Wednesday.
next week is fine for me.
Well, for
That
Wednesday, should everyone do Wednesday aside from
Okay.
Dennis?
I am probably not in state that week of the 18th at all.
Can we do the week of the 27th?
Sure. That makes it the 29th.
For what?
You guys look at your calendar. My calendar suggests that the 29th is a Wednesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of January.
Yeah.
Does 29th of January work?
Oops.
Would that work for you?
I'm good.
No, I'm asking Jason. I'm asking Jason. I'm not asking you.
I'm gonna make what I can.
2025.
Jason,
What-
Yeah.
okay, so that's good.
What did we decide?
29th.
29? Lunar New Year.
Great.
Yep, that works for me.
Okay. The 29th, 6 o'clock joint meeting. How about February?
Is 6 o'clock okay, people?
Yes.
February 19th or February 26th?
I'd say the 26th and 19th is school vacation week.
Great. 26th it is. That work?
Yeah, February.
26th.
All right. Can we push? Let's try to do March as well since we're there. How about the 26th of March?
I can't do it that week. Can we do it a week earlier?
19th?
Looks like okay.
No, I can't do the 19th.
How about
I can't do it all that week.
Okay. How about can we do an earlier meeting, earlier in the week earlier?
That's like 2 weeks out, the last one. How about you do Tuesday's the 25th or April 2nd, which is a Wednesday?
When is the election? What date is the election?
Oh.
Do we know?
Be a
I
Tuesday.
think it might be April.
It is April.
April, which days?
Second,
can't remember what date.
well, first. That would be April.
Tuesday, right?
Would it be the 9th then?
Now do one right before the end. That would be good.
Okay, we can do, so
Okay, let's do one that March, that last that week
25th,
in March. the
Tuesday, March
25th.
25th.
So 25th or 26th. So it's going to be
I don't know that I can do it. Can we not do the 19th or the 18th? Nope. Can 4 or 5 of us do that?
I can't do it, but you can proceed if
Do the
the other
following.
4 can.
I can't. I don't think I can do the following.
So Dave, you can't do the week of the 24th?
I don't think so. I mean, we're trying to plan a trip. But
Yeah, let's set that one later on.
Yeah.
I think we need to set this lately.
Okay,
March date later.
So we'll decide in December.
I think we gotta look at all.
Jan 29th and
We have through February, so let's leave it at that.
What do we have? January 29th?
Then we can decide on the March date.
Wednesdays at 6.
Okay?
for a specific discussion about the charter, right? The point, it just sounds like maybe a 4 PM, 3:30 PM. I know that's tough for everybody, but we squeeze those in. That might be a better time frame. Rather get somebody at night. I don't know.
Well, what
That
about
would-
doing
that
it
would
as part of the charter review committee meeting and just ask them to put it on the agenda? And that's the context in which we have any further discussion about it at whoever our rep is, if it's Ray.
Ray's officially the representative.
Okay, then Ray, I mean, you could put it as an agenda item that RMLD wants to come and there's a lawyer there and whoever of us wants to attend or.
but you're relying on, like Phil said, it might be tough to get a quorum. Again, they have to get their recommendation.
The charter committee is in flux right now because the representative from the bylaw committee backed out.
Yeah, so you have to have,
Like I said, we've had members that are on the committee that have never shown up.
yeah, so you gotta have, and if you have to have that like in stone.
So we'll create an option, in terms of when to try and get it done sometime in December.
Yeah.
And I'll defer to the two chairs.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. You got scheduled.
Yeah.
What's next?
Okay, now we can adjourn.
Can we adjourn?
Yep.
Okay.
Good to see you, Vigo.
Done.
Davey suggests move that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board adjourn regular session, roll call required.
Thanks, Kelly.
Next second, someone.
second.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Aye.
And what's that?
Jason Small,
Vivek Soni.
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 164, Section 47D, exemption from public records and open meeting requirements in certain instances under purpose number 1, to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health, or the discipline or dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, and return to regular session for the sole purpose of adjournment.
Please second that.
Second.
Okay.
Sorry, can you?
Talbot, aye.
Espacino, aye.
Reporter.
Just like I say.
Gold, right?
I know, so.